Hi kiddos, I am at school now. You can see I've got a whiteboard behind me and I want to talk as promised. See, I didn't break my promise. I wanted to add a few little videos to this PowerPoint so that hopefully I can draw on the board and hopefully clarify, if nothing else, give a second version of cellular respiration. So the first part is pretty straightforward, where we're talking about how enzymes are controlling everything, basically everything, within your body, you know, when this happens and when that happens. But then we wanted to, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about how you extract energy from those high energy electrons and use it to make ATP. And this is from biological macromolecules, the food you eat. And so in order to do that, we say we're going to take an example of blood sugar, the sugar that is in your blood. And so it is one of the primary sources of energy for producing ATP in your cells. So we said glucose. What is glucose? It is a 6-carbon molecule. And we had said, when we talk about this process of cellular respiration, we had said that it consists of 3 major steps. And you need to know where they happen and what happens and how much energy is extracted. So when we talk about glycolysis, this is the first step. And in my daily lecture, what I said was that glyco refers to glucose and lysis means breaking it. So look at our board here. The glucose is each of these black dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each of those black dots represents a carbon. Glucose is a 6-carbon molecule. And we said in the cytoplasm of the cell, we're going to have glycolysis. And that 6-carbon molecule is going to be broken in half into what? 2 3-carbon molecules that are called pyruvate. And the electrons that are released from there are going to be used to make ATP. You got a couple of those things. And we had said that's as far as you can go. That's as far as you can go if you don't have oxygen. And we said, you and I, we don't die if we don't have oxygen. Sorry, I'm moving around. I'm kind of standing on my head. But we don't die if we don't have oxygen. We enter into another pathway. So as we move forwards, we're going to talk about what happens to each of these 3-carbon molecules that are called pyruvate. But if you don't have oxygen, like you're breathing hard, if you're breathing hard and you don't have enough oxygen to fully break that thing down, what happens is that thing gets converted into lactic acid, and that's what produces muscle burn. Feel the burn, baby. Or, since this is not a human anatomy or a human physiology class, this is biology in general, we said microorganisms, there are many of them that live in an environment where there is a huge amount of sugar, and they don't care if they're being efficient or not with the release of the energy. They're satisfied with that 2 ATP. Oh, you can't see my ATP. There they are. With those 2 ATP, they're satisfied with that. They're in a world of sugar, right? So they break it down. And with them, what they do is they convert that pyruvate into ethanol plus a carbon dioxide. Okay, and that is what we refer to as anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration is just one energy releasing step plus this conversion of the pyruvate, either in our case to lactic acid, or in the case of the microbes into ethanol plus, ethanol is a 2-carbon molecule, plus a carbon dioxide. But with us, we keep on going because we very efficiently break down and release the energy stored in those chemical bonds. So the next step in the story is going to be the Krebs cycle. It's also known as the citric acid cycle. So what we're going to do is we're going to say this pyruvate, what is it going to do? It is going to go into a mitochondria. Not just part way in, it goes all the way into the matrix, to that middle area. They should make a movie and call it The Matrix. Oh, maybe they did. Who knows? Bad joke. Anyway, so the next step in this process is in the matrix, we have something called the preparatory reactions, and I don't even have them on my slides, but this is where we pop off one of those carbons, so we end up with a 2-carbon molecule called acetyl. So we go from pyruvate to acetyl plus a CO2. And so I said, what's going to happen? We said you breathe in oxygen. Well, we'll talk about why here in a minute. And what do you exhale? Carbon dioxide. That's where you got it. From that food you ate. The carbon dioxide that you exhale comes from the food you ate. And we said, what are you going to do? You're going to do something called decarboxylation. You're going to remove all of those carbons and exhale them as CO2. We've only talked about removing one at this point. So in there, in the matrix, we have this preparatory reaction where you remove one of those carbons. Then we said we have a cycle, and I'll come back for that because I'm going to draw some more on the board. The cycle is the Krebs cycle, also known as, AKA, citric acid cycle.